Hey everybody, Paint Marine here, and let's talk about what just showed up in the mail today. I'm so excited for this. This is pretty awesome. I can't wait to open it up and... Hold on, wait a second. FAQ, errata, Votann. What? I just got my... How's there an errata? I just got this. This just came out. It's only been out 6 days and mine just showed up. What? Hold on a second. Sorry, I gotta look at this real quick. I'm not sure what Hey everybody, Paint Marine here, and well, all jokes aside, yeah, we kind of saw this coming, but it is a little bit of a shocker. Well, I say shocker. It's not really a shocker, right? The shocking part is how quick they were to actually kind of jump on this. But I think the only reason for that was because they saw kind of the outrage, but a lot of TOs in tournaments banning Votann before they were even able to really make, as far as I know, not able to make a tournament appearance. So I want to talk about that a bit. I've got some notes. You know, I did a little bit of research here. I got some notes here. Some points, things I want to talk about, and kind of that in general. But yes, I did just get my box that I had pre-ordered from GW, but I already had a box, and I actually just kind of finished building them last night. You know, I went with the ion blasters for my actual Votann, what are they called, Hearthkin, and then you know, they got the bikes. I actually haven't built the call. I'm gonna go with the call because I'm not doing the Greater Votann League or whatever they're called. Kind of doing my own league, but it's gonna follow the, I don't know how you say exactly, the Eimer conglomerate. But like I said, I'm doing my own color scheme and stuff. But I like them because the rules are kind of very similar with Salamanders. I was a huge Salamanders player, really like them, and they kind of have like that similar kind of artificer, armor, and weapons kind of thing. So their weapons have a little bit better range, and then I want to say anybody in void armor gets like an invul or feel no pain. I can't remember which one it is, or you know, like ignores wounds, or it's invul. I'll look it up here in a sec, but it's one of those two. But I like that. I think that's good. I think that'll help with the army. I think this will probably be one of the more popular factions because of that. Maybe not. Maybe the Greater Votann League, because of the named character there and how he hands out judgment tokens. But anyway, I really do like these guys. I just love how little chonky dudes they are. They're friggin' awesome. This is my I'm not sure. It was a sergeant dude. I still, and I mentioned this in a post on Votann Facebook group, and I don't know, caught a lot of flack here and there for it, but I was kind of curious. I want to know, like, what's up with these, like, animal totem things. Like, yeah, people are like, well, they're from Terra, and blah. I'm like, yes, okay, I get that, but, like, where's the lore behind, like, why are they holding on to these animal symbols that, like, do they have these animals still? Do they have, you know, because they're all about cloning. Are they cloning these animals on their worlds? I mean, those animals would be pretty interesting looking if they're, you know, if they're all squat and everything because of the high gravity in the inner core, what their animals might look like. But then also, like, maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's just holding on to things from the ancestors, right? And animal totems throughout many cultures have many different reasons. So, like, you know, are they granted because of a deed that somebody did? Are they, you know, tied to the personality or the deeds of a unit or a squad? Like, you know, they're super strong and resilient, so, you know, they get this, or, you know, I don't know, like, or like I said, are they used to, like, maybe bestow some sort of thought of a blessing, or, I don't know, something on them, like the ancestors are bestowing them this great honor or something, or is it an honor thing too? I don't know. But anyway, I can try to show you this. I've got pictures of this on my Facebook, and I don't know if it's focusing really well or not, but on Facebook and Instagram, you can definitely get better pictures. You can see like the purple and stuff. I'm trying to do what they call like a synth wave, I believe, is kind of the style. that I'm going for with mine. This was the model of the month that they were giving out free at Games Workshops. Went and picked this up so I could test out my scheme, and I really liked the way it turned out. A lot of people said I should do a different kind of basing idea, but I still like the synthwave thing in general, because my thought on this is like the Votann or like mine or whatever are like, at least in this snapshot of time that I'm painting them, are like on a planet that's like, you know, like some sort of fluorescent neon kind of like plant life or something going on, or like the sun and the clouds and the chemicals or something on this planet is causing like this hue, this haze over everything. And so it's basically like, this isn't necessarily their true armor colors. It's just casting this haze or shade or tint or whatever you want to call it over them, and so they come out like this really cool, you know. I kind of like, you know, when I look at this, I want like people to think of, you know, like that futuristic neon sci-fi, you know, Blade Runner kind of feel is what I'm trying to go for. So anyway, I don't want to change the base. I did actually put like not a Nolan oil, but I couldn't find mine, so I actually just made a, you know, a shade basically using the black Templar contrast with some Lamian medium to thin it out, and just threw it on there just to kind of darken the ground a little bit so it kind of doesn't blend in as much. But then I'm also waiting on some Games Grass Alien Tufts. I got like every color that they have. There's kind of like a fluorescent-y neon color. I'm going to try them out and see how they look, and kind of go for there to add a little bit more. But anyway, that is that. So let's talk about this, right? So obviously there is a knee-jerk reaction, I think. Not necessarily one that shouldn't have happened, but it's a little bit unfortunate that it happened so quickly, but it's also unfortunate that it even had to happen so quickly at all. Like, I think, you know, by now everyone's seen the GW apology video, and while I understand why they did it, it definitely, and it's a funny video. I like the video. It's pretty funny, but it's kind of like one of those things where it shouldn't have been necessary. We always know about codex creep, so everyone knew that like this was going to be the strongest codex when it first came out. But I think they didn't anticipate, or they thought that maybe it wasn't going to be as powerful as it was, and so, you know, they were going to do what they always do, let it out. It's out for a little while. It's super powerful. Then they let out a few erratas, FAQs, and stuff to kind of tone it down a bit. And by then, we're already moving on to the next codex, so you kind of forget about that a little bit. And then eventually, it just slides down as more codexes keep coming from. Because rules, powerful armies, the newest, hottest thing is what pushes and sells models. Now, this is the hottest of the newest because, you know, squats, Votann, like, we haven't seen... This is a new faction. It hasn't been around for like 30 years, squats, right? Now they're not squats, or they kind of are, or they're hinted at, or they're reimagining, whatever you want to call it. It's a new faction, right? So already there's that, but then the rules leaked, and then all that. But even still, you know, I don't know, we just ended up getting what we got. A very powerful army that, like I said, got nerfed quickly. Now, for the most part, everyone, I don't think, is upset or mad about the nerfs. They understand why they happened, and I don't think anybody disagrees that there didn't need to be something. But I think a lot of the problem is what was done. I think a lot of people are unhappy with the across-the-board points increase, not just some, but across the board. Now, again, there's pros and cons to that thought or whatever. I definitely think that they should have maybe not increased all the base points of things. Maybe weapon options should have been increased versus the base cost of the units, because it's not necessarily always the characters are different and stuff like that. But like sometimes, especially with the Hearthkin, like their weapon options are more what make them I don't know when you say viable or more or take more of, but I guess because you can only take like one of a weapon option, two if you have a squad of 20, I guess maybe they want to put the tax on the troops because otherwise it still might not be as enough of a deterrent, perhaps. I'm not sure. The points thing, though, like, you know, I can't really say one or the other because I haven't been able to even play a game with them. But I do want to talk a little bit briefly on that as part of my notes. So I want to talk about this what comes in the army box and how I was building them. So what the points cost was to what I was building to what it is now. And then also, based off of what we know of or what we pretty sure of what's going to be the combat patrol box, what the points were and what they will now be. So for the army box itself, we have the Greater Call dude, which I'm looking on here. I'm just now realizing I did not put him on my list because I'm making a regular call on mine. But I do know he... Yeah, 140, and I'm trying to remember what he went up to. I don't even know if I can get this to pull up. I'll try it real quick. Try to juggle everything here. Dang it. Let's go Warhammer Community. All right. All right, so he was 140 and he went up to 160, so 20 points. So, yeah. But anyway, so for leaving him out, just going with the call, because that's what I was planning on. So, originally, right, the call, so I just did the call with the Rampart Crest. I didn't do the Concussion Gauntlet. So, just a call with a Rampart Crest, 80 points. Then the Hearthkin with the Sergeant dude, or whatever he's called, with a Concussion Gauntlet, because that's what I have a model with, because I thought it looked cool. The Ion Blasters, that was my plan. I was actually planning on doing all 20 as Ion Blasters, because I had the second box that, so I got one at my local store, and then the one I actually pre-ordered from GW just showed up today. I was planning on doing 2 squads of 20 Ions, because with the conglomerate rules, getting that extra range, I thought would be pretty decent. Now I'm kind of thinking I might do the other one with bolters. I'm not sure, though. I mean, eventually I would assume that I was going to get bolters, but now I'm thinking maybe I should do 20 Ion, 20 bolters, so I have a little bit of flexibility and save on points and stuff as well, as I want to add other things later on. So yeah, so they are, for the army box now, and this again, all 20 with Ions. And then with the Magna Rail Rifle, the L7 missile launcher thing, a comms array, and a medic. That comes out to 320 points. All right, and this is again, or I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's before the points increase. So 320. Then the champion dude with the hammer is 100. And then the pioneers with the rotary cannon, comms, and a searchlight is 110. All right, and that's a grand total for the army of 695 points. So just under 700 points. So now with the points increases, the call with the Rampart Crest goes from 80 to 90 points, so 10 points more. The Ion, the 20 Ions, goes from 320 to 360, so 40 more points. The Champion went from 100 to 120, and the Pioneers 110 to 125 for a grand total of 855. So, you know, you're looking at about 700 points before, give or take. I mean, we'll just call it 7 rounded up. And then 855, you could call it, you know, 850 for some, you know, real simple math. So 150 points extra now to this. So you really wouldn't have to add much of anything, and really through upgrades and certain things you could get this easily tip 900 points. But like I said, you could probably add, I don't know, just a simple another, well, I mean, you could easily add another 10 like min squad of health or Hearthkin and hit your 1,000. I mean, even just another group of pioneers would get you up there pretty quickly too. So not hard to make a 1,000-point list. With that, and that's kind of the thing too, is like with the different levels you play at, I mean, I don't think they're gonna have an issue selling the later models, but they could. I mean, they could have sold more of certain units because the points cost allowed for more of those units, but now it's gonna be more expensive to take some, so people might not want to go out and buy more of the what is the Sagittar, the little ATV bike or a vehicle. They might not try to run out and buy so many now, but yeah. So that's the army box. So like I said, it was about 700 points before. Now you're up to, you know, about 850. And again, this is just based off of like how I'm doing it now. It could be cheaper if you go with bolts instead of the ion, because right here, so the bolts before the bolters before the points increase was 300 for a group of 20. And now 340, so 40-point difference. So I mean, right there, you know, either way, you'd be dropping, you know, 40 points off of your army. Well, sorry. So let me rephrase that. So it's a 40-point difference between the two changes, but as far as like between the current cost and of ions and the current cost of bolters, it's a 20-point difference. You'd be saving 20 points to take 20 bolters versus ions, right? Is that right? Or did I do that wrong? Should be more. Should be 40 points, right? No, it's 20. The ions are still 1 point each. Too many numbers. All right, so yeah, so it's a 20-point difference. So I mean, it's not like a huge difference, but you may need that extra wiggle room potentially, you know. And then you could do, you know, maybe 10 points. You only need to free up 10 points. This could be an easy way to free up some points. So, all right. So that's kind of it for the points, really, that I want to talk about. Just small increases. Oh, I want to kind of go over the combat patrol. So again, just doing the call with the Rampart crest, not the character. It'd be 90 versus previous it was 80. The Hearthkin, same loadout with the Ions, L7, Magna, all that again. So it's 180 now, would have been 160. And then the Berserks, they were 110. Now that's a 40-point difference now, 150. And that's with no other options that is listed. That's just base, how they come, 150 for 5. It's only groups of 5 up to 10. But in the combat patrol, it looks like they're going to come with 5. I didn't add the mole launcher. I don't remember what the other one was. Oh, the 2 concussion gauntlet things. And then you have the pioneers again. Before coming at 110, coming in at 125. Now again, that's with the rotary. Even though the rotary and the ion are the same cost in comms and search. So grand total there was 460 before the change, now 545. So push in again with upgrades and things, especially if you take the named character, you would definitely be over 600 points. Yeah, with the only difference being you're getting Berserks instead of another 10-man group of Hearthkin, and no champion. So, yeah. The army box is definitely a better deal in my opinion, because you do get the 2 10-man squads of Hearthkin, or 10-person squad, whatever, 2 kindred squads, or one massive 10 kindred blob. And then if you have another one such as that, plus you got like the codex and the cards and all that. Now, because I do have two, I'm going to have cards and codex that I'm going to want to get rid of, sell something, but I don't know what the price is now since it's already old and invalidated. Granted, it wasn't huge changes that affect the majority of the book. It's just the points changes in the back, and then one army rule. Now, that army rule, I want to talk about. So I'm going to pop over here and pull it up. All right, so your change in page 86, the Eyes of the Ancestor, 5th paragraph to read. Note, if an attack automatically wounds the target as a result of this ability, then for the purposes of any other rules that are triggered on a particular wound roll, that attack is never considered to have been made with an unmodified wound roll of a 6. Now the issue with this is because of the Magna Rail. There's other issues too, but I'm going to just stick to the Magna Rail part because I haven't had this too terribly long, and so being able to dig into the stratagems and everything else that are affected by this, but there are some as well that are affected. All right, where am I at? Where's our troops? Here we go. So the Magna Rail Rifle, and you go to page 87 for its effects and rules. Magna Rail. Alright, so invulnerable saving throws cannot be taken, so there's no change there. On an unmodified wound roll of 6, excess damage that the weapon inflicts is not lost. Instead, keep allocating the excess damage to another model in the target unit until either all excess damage has been allocated or the target unit is destroyed. Okay, so for that to happen, you have to roll to wound. However, if a unit has a judgment token on it, it just became harder instead of easier, which is the point of judgment tokens, right? You're judging them, you're more pissed at this particular unit. It just became harder now for you to get that ability off. Because it says here now that it is not considered to have made an unmodified wound roll of 6. Now, I'm okay and not okay with this. Because I'm not okay, because that just totally just makes it even harder as you get more judgment tokens on it. Because you get 2, now you automatic wound on a 5. So now it's easier to get that auto wound, which means it's easier to not get that ability. And again, with 3 on a 4+ auto wound, now 50-50 chance. You know, and let me look. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's his weapon skill, ballistic skill, rather, is 3+, I think. Yeah, 3+. So you now have to hit on a 3+ in hopes to not auto wound. So then you can roll to try to wound, and that still could fail. I'm not no statistician, mathematician, whatever, to know the percentages of the chances by that happening is, but that's not good. Even with the 1 judgment token, and you hit on a 6, and you get that auto wound, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, if anything, if you roll the Magna Rifle and you hit it on a 6, regardless, at that point, then I think they should maybe put in no, you get that counts as an unmodified wound roll of a 6 for the rifle. They either need to do that, and then that way, so if it's 2 judgment tokens, you get the auto wound. If you roll a 5, you get the auto wound, but you don't get the spillover damage unless you rolled it and you got a 6. Then that auto wound then counts as a 6. That way, you kind of still get to use that rule, but you're not negating the whole point of the weapon, right? Like, you still get to do the auto, like, and judgment tokens, like, they still can work together. You still can get the auto wound parts, you know, on a 4+ and a 5+, but you're not going to get that heavy spillover damage unless you hit on a 6. Then you can get it. And then if there is no judgment token and you hit on a 6, well, you still have to roll for wound like normal, right? And that is, and then on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, then the spillover damage happens. So in that case, like, you just need to hit, and then you're trying to get the 6. But if you get the 6 right off the bat with it, and you have a judgment token, it should trigger. I don't. That's how I would fix it. That's what I think should happen. You know, the only other, there's another option, but it gets kind of more convoluted where, like, you roll it, it's got a judgment token of whatever, and then you get to, you're not wounding to roll, but you're, or wounding to roll, wow. Rolling to wound, you're rolling to see if the thing goes off. So then you're like this, so it doesn't matter, like, so you roll a dice and let's say you get a 1, like, you still got the auto wound from the thing, you were just seeing if your spillover damage happens. I can see a lot of people getting upset with that, and like, people like, you know, it's getting too convoluted and whatever else. So that's why I said, then fine. Keep it simple. A hit of a 6 of a unit with a judgment token counts as a wound of a 6. Anything else, you'll have to roll. Either it counts as an auto wound, or you have to roll. So, I mean, it's still, I don't know, it's not perfect, right? It's just an idea, because, I mean, you're still losing that chance, though, because any other time, if you hit a unit that doesn't have a judgment token, and you hit them on a 4 or a 3, you then still have to wound to roll with the chance of getting a 6. I mean, so you're still losing that chance to do that. Like, you really have taken away that whole ability. So, like I said, not a perfect solution, just one idea. As I'm even talking about it now, I'm even talking myself out. I was like, no, like, I still don't like that, because I'm still losing 2 other chances. If I have 2 or 3 judgments, it still makes it harder, because they don't even, you just don't get that ability. It protects them more the more judgment tokens that they have, and that's not cool. At that point, like, then just take the Magna rule thing out. I don't know if there's some other way that you can apply it or what, but at that point, then what's the point of that rule? There's no point to it. There really isn't. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with that one, just because it is cool, and I'm not saying like, oh, they nerfed it and it needs to be broken, but there needs to be a better solution than just invalidating the weapon. You know, like, the only thing it can shoot at now is, I mean, it can still shoot anything, obviously, but the more viable targets for it to shoot at to try to get the spillover damage is to be ones without a judgment token. Like, that's dumb. And as far as I know, you can't, like, pick and choose when to give or not give judgment tokens. Like, I don't think there's any way that you can take them away from a unit. I think they just kind of collectively go up to 3, and it's even the rules in there, like, if they leave the board and go into reserves or come back or whatever, or units combine and split up, then there's ways that you apply the judgment tokens. But I tell you, I'm just not a fan of how that was put out. And obviously everyone's there's a lot of discussion going on everywhere. Knee-jerk reaction, wrong steps, right intentions, you know, wrong outcome kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. The other kind of issue I have is like, who at the end of the day do you blame, right? Do you blame GW? Do you blame the rules writers? Do you blame the play testers? Do you blame us, the consumer? Because we keep putting up with this, right? Like, okay, they did this little haha apology video, and I've already seen a lot of, you can call them shills, whatever, you know, a lot of people kind of like on the Warhammer Facebook page, like, oh, this is so funny, so thank you so much, we know that you care. Like, do they though? Do they really care? I don't know. It's a company at the end of the day, you know, like, I know for a while the mantra, the thing that was always said, is they're a model company, not a game company. They're not a rules company. They're just making models. The models get designed first, the rules come out later. So I mean, is that still kind of the issue? Someone posted, and I asked for the article or the proof of this, but they said they commented on one of my comments was, well, maybe this is why GW recently fired a bunch of playtesters. I was like, oh, really? They did? Well, I'd like to read about that. And they didn't provide any links or articles. So if you know of this or seen it, definitely post it down. I want to know kind of like, the article might not say anything more than they just, got rid of some playtesters. But I'm just kind of curious, like, did they? And I, like I said, the article probably wouldn't say the reasoning for it, but obviously I would want to know, like, I think like anybody would, like, why did they get fired? Was it because they were not doing their job properly or something was wrong? Or was it because of all the leaks? Are the playtesters the leak that is just pouring out of GW? Especially with, like, the whole codex was leaked. Like, I mean, love him or hate him, like, Chapter Master Valrak, right? His channel is, like, he's got the informant of informants. Like, this person, like, without fail, these rumors that come through are always, like, you almost wonder if he isn't, like, the person getting fed, like, somebody, like, he's on the tick, right? Like, he's actually employed by Games Workshop to push out these rumors to build hype, because that's what it does. I mean, it's kind of interesting how all of a sudden these, like, potato photos, like the very blurry photos of new Primaris stuff that kept getting leaked, and they were pixelated more than they were blurry, so it was like they were added to a filter of some kind. Those have kind of stopped. We haven't really seen those anymore. It's like they've kind of, like, so I kind of wonder if there is, I think, some truth to they're purposely leaking stuff to build hype. I mean, that's advertisement. It gets, like you say, gets people hyped, gets them excited, gets them talking, keeps Games Workshop relevant in the conversation. I mean, there's a million, and they're already the top dog, right? They're the ones kind of setting the stage for all these other companies trying to break into the gaming scene, and they're the massive ones on the scene. They're the Goliath. Everyone else is the David or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know if that's why they were let go or not, or what, or if it's even true. But again, like I said, like, do we blame us, the consumers, because we allow them to continue to do this? And that's where I think the TOs this time stepping in and banning them from GTs before they could even see the table was a good thing, because it sent a message to Games Workshop of knock it off with this codex creep. And not even, like, this isn't even codex creep. This was codex, like, cannon in your face. Like, I love the army. I was going to get them either way because Space Dwarfs, awesome. And I love the way the models look Starcraftian, chicken before the egg. Everyone's just like, oh, Warhammer's like StarCraft. Like, well, no, actually, it's the other way around. It was like a whole thing. They tried to make a game, they fell out, and that's how StarCraft was made. But anyway, I kind of like how this is kind of like StarCrafty a bit, but yeah, so either way, like I said, I was gonna get them. I'm not a power gamer. I haven't even played 9th edition because of pandemic, work, life, everything else. But honestly, from what I'm hearing, it's like I didn't miss anything. It's been a hell of an edition. Like, I loved 8th. 8th was awesome. It was a good change. Had good balance at the beginning. Started kind of getting wonky at the end. Then things kind of dropped off. Pandemic happened. Then Indominus came out, which was like 9th. And yeah, I'm kind of lucky I haven't really played anything. And then now this, like, I'm really focusing on building, rebuilding, getting back to my Alpha Legion, Horus Heresy 30K, old school-ish, 6th, 7th-ish templates, all that, back to that, but I still want to play 40K because of the different factions there, because it can get boring just Marine on Marine all the time. And I was really looking forward to having, and I still am, because like I said, I have a cool color scheme I really have locked down. I think I'm just going to should be a quick paint, not be super fast, but should be quicker than any other scheme I've done before, and yet really looks striking and cool. So I'm excited for that. And I really want to get them on the table, but it's like, just again, like the daunting idea of jumping into it with all these changes and all these things all the time, and now there's almost a stigma around them. Is anybody going to play against them? Are they going to just assume that I only won because I'm a wannabe power gamer, or you know, oh, it's the new hottest thing, and you didn't need tactics at all. It just, you know, you just plop models on the table and throw dice, and it just deletes my army because you have such awesome rules. Like, I don't want that. Obviously, that's not fun for anybody. And so I think the TOs banning it was a good wake up call. Hopefully, is like that you just overstep your bounds. Like, either, like I said, and the Article 2 kind of talked about the play testing. Like, they tested them against the Tyranids and the Eldar. They didn't really mention, and I'm sure they tested other factions, but they specifically called out those ones. And I'm like, I mean, and it almost sounded like they did play against others, but not like they didn't play against a bunch of others. So it's kind of like, again, like where's the I don't know, the actual attempt at balance. And I'm not even saying they have to be like, I get like that they'll come out and be strong, but and someone keeps bringing it up, and I do kind of vaguely remember this. It was in 7th edition. The Space Wolf Codex wasn't even out and got like FAQ'd or errated ahead of time. There was like some HQs or something in it that were like, and it got, before it even hit the street, so like day one the Codex was already wrong. Now a lot of people say, well, the Codex, there's still a lot of other things, you know, the lore and the artwork is cool, and yes, I get that, but I mean, it is just frustrating knowing that even in the regular timeline of things, we know that there's going to be an errata or FAQ at some point. It's just more frustrating that it was 6 days later. So, yeah. But anyway, I had another thought I was talking about. Well, if you're new to the channel, thanks for watching. Let me go off on this little tangent. And speaking of tangents, I tend to do that. Like, I have a million thoughts going on at once, you know, squirrel, whatever. My attention gets divided easily. So a lot of times I'll go down one vein, start talking about another, and forget to circle back. So sorry if that frustrates you. But I don't know. Sometimes my brain gets pretty chaotic because there's a lot thinking out. And I do my best to write out my thoughts ahead of time. But it doesn't really help either too much. It just kind of gives me a brief outline, and then I still will veer here and there. But anyway, yeah, long story short, I'm very excited for them still. Definitely look to my Facebook and Instagram as I throw out some memes about this whole stuff, because I'm still going to make fun. I've already posted a few pictures of my Codex in the trash. Obviously, it's not in the trash, but I'm like, so I guess this is the new bookshelf for the Votann, and just stuff like that. Just kind of messing around, having fun, because, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, it's not gonna change a ton. I do hope it changes some with, like I said, the TOs banning. Hopefully that's a wake-up call. We're still gonna see Codex creep. I just hope it gets reined in a little bit more. And again, maybe that's why the playtesters were fired. I don't know. But that was a good call out. The only other thing that could get them to change is if we just stop buying from Games Workshop. But that's a lot harder said than, or harder done than said. Easier said than done. Because, I don't know, we're all addicted. We all love the game, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so hopefully they've kind of gotten the message a bit. And, you know, I think the other thing is, like, those that wanted to play the Votann most likely got the army box, right? So they have the army, at least to start, and they'll buy the other stuff. Most others that are unsure or haven't yet, or aren't even in it, aren't interested at all now and may in a few years, or we're maybe even on the fence but aren't sure. We're maybe going to wait and get the combat patrol box and then the standard codex, because it's, you know, a little bit cheaper or whatever entry into it. I kind of hope they don't. I hope once the rest of the stuff comes out that the sales kind of dip on it and you don't see a huge increase. And it's kind of a thing where it's kind of like, I don't want the Votann to fail. Like, I mean, I don't think they're going to be around, like, not around for the long term. I think they'll be supported decently like any other, you know, sub faction within 40K that's not Space Marines. But I kind of want them to think or feel or maybe assume, however you want to say, that perhaps their sales are not as good as they could have been because of the backlash on this. So that these would have sold better had they just released a more balanced codex in the first place that wouldn't get banned, and that people wouldn't feel like they can't play anybody or nobody wants to play them, or they're worried about nobody wanting to play them because people don't want to play an army that's just going to delete them really quickly. Hopefully that message comes across and we don't have this issue again. We'll always have codex creep. I don't think that's going away. Just hopefully they don't codex cannon in your face, you know, like nuclear option type of thing. Like it was, I don't know. But anyway. All right, well, enough of that rambling. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? You know, agree, disagree with these changes? You know, the points are kind of like, yeah, there's probably a few things that should have been, like, I know a lot of people are talking about the, what are the Terminator dudes? What are they called? The Hearthguard, going up way too much. I wasn't actually planning on getting those anyway. I'm not a big fan of the way those models look. So as of right now, I wasn't planning on getting them. But, you know, stuff like that. So, like, you know, do you think the points are too much? Do you think that was the way to go? Do you think this FAQ, or the, I keep saying FAQ, the errata change done to how the judgment token works as far as what counts as wounding, do you think that was the way to go? If not, like, what do you think is the solution? You know, I kind of had a solution, but even then just talking through it, it's kind of like, well, you're still missing out on that opportunity to get that unmodified 6 to wound. And that's where I kind of go back to my other thought of the Magna Rifle, if anything, regardless of whether you got the auto wound, still has to roll to see if its Magna ability or whatever happens. And it's not a wound roll. It's just a roll to see if the auto wound counts as a 6. So basically, a 1 to 5 doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you roll a 1 to 5. It just means that you didn't get the Magna rule effect. But if you roll and you do get the 6, then the auto wound that you had counts for the Magna as a 6. Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, it's one quick extra roll. It's not a wound roll. It's almost like it's an ability roll. You're checking to see if the auto wound was a 6 or not. And no modifiers can apply to this roll. Like, it's just a straight unmodified roll. If it's a 6, it goes off. Like, that probably is the easiest and best way, because you're not losing that chance on a 4+ or 5+ auto wounding either. Like, you still can roll. And like I said, like, I don't know. I think that's the best option. But that was my box falling. Scared the living bejesus out of me. But anyway, yeah, let me know your thoughts on the thing below. Let me end this video before I keep rambling this ending on more. So thanks for watching. Check out the links below. Check out my Facebook, Instagram, see what I got going on, what I'm working on there. And I would greatly appreciate that like and subscribe. I'm doing my best, changing things up, trying to make the videos, the content better. Hopefully it's just something in my rambling to listen to while you're painting or building or whatever. I just want to share my aspects and my thoughts, my projects on the hobby with everybody else. And yeah, and just have that, you know, conversation with everyone. So again, greatly appreciate that like, subscribe, check out my Facebook, Instagram, and until next time.